Right now at noon, a southeast Kansas community picks up the pieces after severe weather tears through their town.
We're going to take a look back at that line of showers and thunderstorms and severe weather that rolled through early this morning and take a look at other damage reports coming up.
And we take you 30,000 feet up inside a small intensive care unit in the sky.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The night the lights went out in Chanute. Security footage from the Bank of Commerce on Main Street shows the moment's heavy winds first hit the southeast Kansas community, knocking out power to nearly all of Chanute. Now this is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, severe storms coupled with hail and strong winds leave their mark on several southeast Kansas communities. And the storms in Chanute took out a number of power lines, causing USD 413 schools to cancel classes today. Overnight, the Chanute PD put out a request on Facebook asking residents to stay home. The Chanute Martin Johnson Airport reported wind gusts up to 80 miles per hour overnight. In addition to down power lines, several buildings suffered roof damage, and the strong winds tore apart the garages at one apartment complex. Well, those strong winds blew east towards Fort Scott, hitting the community of Bronson hard overnight. You can see structure damage, even a trampoline in a tree in this photo. And of course, that's just one image. Chris Warner joins us with a breakdown of last night's activity.
Yeah, this all got going pretty late last night, and we ended up with a line of explosive, severe thunderstorms that rolled through the area. These storms were moving upwards of 50, 60 miles an hour, and as we are learning today, they had the winds to accompany them. So this is a loop back to when this all began this morning, say right after midnight, and you can see this line race off to the east. Now what I want to do, and I have to step off for this, is we're going to first off find out where the radar went on that, and second, we're going to show you exactly what went down with these storms this morning as they rolled through the Chanute area. So there it goes. So this is these are those storms, and right around 1 o'clock, if you look at this cell right there in Chanute, this is the storm that brought in those damaging wind gusts that rolled through Chanute, and it continued to track off to the northeast into Bourbon County and off toward Fort Scott. And it left behind all of these damage, or all these severe storm reports rather. All the blue are hail, the orange are wind damage reports, the green are actual measured gusts. So we can zoom in and take a look. So this is Uniontown, the Kansas Mesonet site in Bourbon County in Uniontown reported a wind gust up to 79 miles an hour. And then this green dot at the Chanute Martin Johnson Airport reporting a wind gust of at least 70 miles an hour. So National Weather Service damage teams will undoubtedly be out today making assessments. We'll have more information on the official reports either later today or tomorrow. All right, real quick, 72 yesterday, 81 for the high. Nowhere near that today, much colder. 43 Pittsburgh, 45 Joplin. You can see we've got lower to mid 40s across the area. We'll take a look at your full forecast and talk about when the warm-up will get here in just a few more minutes. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. In addition to the damage strong winds can cause to structures, they also increase the risk of wildfires and make it tough for folks driving high-profile vehicles. Greg Branscombe, a local truck driver on his way from Wichita to Joplin, says when the winds are blowing strong, truck drivers have to slow down and pay special attention. He describes driving with an empty load as being on a sailboat and says you're kicked around a lot more. He asked drivers in smaller vehicles to avoid driving close to semis.
Don't drive beside us for too long. If you're in a hurry, get out of the way, just keep on going. You know, it's bad enough driving beside a truck, but on a windy day, don't use us as a shield from the wind.
Branscombe says driving against the wind in a high-profile vehicle can also dramatically cut your gas mileage. Well, yesterday was the spring version of Election Tuesday for residents in both Missouri and Oklahoma, and there were several school bond issues to decide on in the 4 states. We'll start in Carthage, where voters failed to pass a $26 million bond for a performing arts center and baseball field. The proposal did receive a majority of the vote, but fell short of the state-mandated 57.1% majority needed to pass. Now, heading south, voters in the Neosho School District considered and passed a $14 million proposal for new and existing school properties. The East Newton R6 district considered a $5 million proposal for various improvements to existing facilities, but this one failed. The vote was yes for 88, no 624. However, voters in Diamond, Missouri gave the stamp of approval for a $6 million proposal to fund various school projects, including construction of a new early childhood center. And in Oklahoma, voters failed an $87.2 million school bond proposal for Grove schools. This one received a majority of votes, but not enough to reach the margin needed to pass. The bond would have provided funding for various school construction and improvement projects. Several Southwest Missouri counties and cities considered 3% tax proposals on the sale of recreational marijuana. In Jasper County, it passed by nearly 2-to-1 margin. In fact, this issue passed by a wide margin for every district with this vote on the ballot. That's a look at today's top stories, election results, and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, Scandinavian Airlines convert a passenger plane into a flying hospital. And later, we're making pierogi lasagna in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. But first, here's a look at more four-state election results. Former President Donald Trump is now officially a criminal defendant after he's charged with 34 counts of falsifying business records. Trump's attorney appeared on CBS Mornings and denied that any crime took place. He also says the former president has been through a political persecution. Trump's presidential campaign is using the indictment to fundraise for his re-election. An airline has transformed a passenger plane into a flying hospital to treat injured Ukrainian soldiers and civilians. Zian Lee reports pilots call it a rewarding mission as Ukraine's war with Russia rages on.
Time is critical on the battlefield in Ukraine. Minutes can mean a life when getting someone care. And it's a long road, or rather flight, for some of the worst cases. Mykola Fedirko was injured in the trenches. It's the first time he's ever been on a plane. He jokes, I would have liked to go to Denmark on holiday instead of the hospital, but he's thankful for the ride. Next to a U.S. Air Force cargo plane in Poland, just miles from the border with Ukraine, sits a converted Boeing 737.
In easy words, it's a small hospital in the air.
Scandinavian Airlines provides the plane, and Norway's military, the medics.
We have syringe pumps, and we have monitor and suction and oxygen.
More than 2,000 people have taken these flights. Spreading patients throughout Europe relieves Ukraine's overwhelmed hospitals. The plane's pilot says this flight is much more fulfilling than his usual day job, hauling passengers on vacation.
It makes us a little humble to do this mission, and actually I'm very proud to do it.
A critical mission of mercy, saving lives at 30,000 feet. Ian Lee, CBS News.
The World Health Organization says more than 850 medical centers in Ukraine have been attacked since the Russian invasion, forcing thousands to be evacuated to hospitals in neighboring countries. Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
What happens if we combine these with this? The result will probably surprise you in a very pleasant way. So grab a fork, because you're not going to want to miss this.
And after that bumpy morning for us, we will warm up despite the cool temperatures. We'll talk about that warm up and our next chance of showers and storms when we come back. Following our morning round of severe thunderstorms, we are considerably calmer and considerably cooler as we head into our Wednesday afternoon. Here's a look at what we are keeping an eye on over the next 2 or 3 days. We've got this much calmer afternoon and some chilly temperatures for sure. Temperatures will start to warm up as we head into the weekend, and we got a slight chance of some showers and thunderstorms on Easter Sunday. We'll take a look at all that in a moment. First, our camera, 7th and range line. Skies are clearing. They'll continue to do so. Plentiful sunshine, but despite that sunshine, still cold. MoDOT camera, I-44 and range line looks good as well. And same with the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh. Let's take a look at those currents. We're going to go a little more in depth with this forecast. My box has vanished, but that's okay. I can still read it to you. 44 in Joplin, feels like 39. That dew point's down to 33. Humidity's at 65%. Pressure's rising, and the wind is north-northwest at 10. No gusts. It's much better than it was yesterday, even with the gusty winds, but still chilly. Chanute 44, 42 in Iola, 45 Parsons, 43 Chetopa, 42 Miami, 43 Neosho, and 43 in Carthage right now. That puts us, take a look at this, just up to 40 degrees, nearly 40 degrees colder than we were 24 hours ago. 24 hours ago, we had ourselves temperatures approaching the 80s, and just a couple hours after that, we had a heat index. It was not much, but there was a heat index. Today, we started our day with the storms, and then it got colder and had a wind chill. So you can get all 4 seasons in a matter of hours here in the 4 states. Still looking at highs, pushing the lower to mid-50s of plentiful sunshine as we go through the rest of our afternoon and into the evening hours. And as we head into tonight, it's going to get cold, which is expected. That cold front did live up to its name. It dropped those temperatures. We're going to dip back through the 40s to the upper 30s by midnight before leveling out right around 36 degrees tonight. We'll also have clouds increasing again as we head into the overnight hours. As we head into tomorrow, we'll have those partly to mostly cloudy skies. We're looking to make the upper 50s. Some of us might even be lucky enough to sneak back up there to about 60 degrees. But as mentioned, the good news is it's going to really warm up again over the next several days. So let's talk about it. 58 on average for us tomorrow, partly to mostly cloudy skies. A few more clouds on Friday, but a bit warmer, 64. Taking a look into Easter weekend, 70, 71. This thunderstorm chance, you may remember, we're looking at that in the evening hours, and it's also a fairly low chance, something we're keeping an eye on. So don't cancel your Sunday Easter plans or your Easter egg hunts. Just be prepared to maybe have a backup if you need to run inside. But I think any showers we see Sunday should hold off until later in the evening, maybe even into the overnight hours. We kick off next week, low 70s. Then we get into the mid to upper 70s. We get back to near 80 degrees next week. But here's that same trend we see. It's going to be windy next Wednesday, and then we're watching the possibility of some pop-up thunderstorms as we head into the end of next week. So plenty of activity we got to keep an eye on as we head into the end of next week. Sunday, not so much of a big deal, but still, you want to keep an eye on it if you've got some Easter plans. Otherwise, we just have to endure, a couple of days of cooler temperatures, and then we get right back into the 70s, warmer conditions across the area. So not bad, especially after this morning. And again, as I mentioned, National Weather Service teams will come out to southeast Kansas, and they'll make some official assessments. I know there have been questions as to whether or not what hit Chanute was a tornado. Looking at that security footage, it doesn't appear to be, but that's a determination for the survey teams. But either way, definitely strong winds between Chanute heading up toward Fort Scott and Bourbon County, and some damage out there. So those teams will make their assessments, and either later today or sometime tomorrow we'll have some more official data on that.
And if anybody is wondering, there's nothing severe in the weather this morning right now. So if you're hearing sirens testing.
Yes, we did get told that the sirens were being sounded in Pittsburgh right around noon. And I did want to mention real quick that we have, I did see in our National Weather Service chat this morning, a number of communities in Oklahoma mentioning they were testing their sirens at noon today. So it's likely just a test because obviously we've got nothing going on right now.
A lot of times first Wednesday of the month.
Yes, yes.
There you go. All right, thanks, Chris. Well, stick around. We're making pierogi lasagna after the break. If you're a fan of lasagna noodles and mashed potatoes, you're going to love today's Polish-themed dish. Howard shows us how to make pierogi lasagna in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
You know, one of the things we love to do here in the Test Kitchen is to combine the best part of two recipes to help you get a better appreciation of what I'm talking about. Today, we're combining everything we love about homemade potato stuffed pierogies with a classic Italian favorite, lasagna. Here's how. We start by cooking some lasagna noodles according to the package directions and draining them really well. Then, in some butter, we saute some onions that we seasoned with a bit of salt until they're golden. Now we add most of the cooked onions to some mashed potatoes along with some shredded cheddar cheese and a bit of black pepper. To build this, we layer our mashed potato filling with the noodles just as if we were building a traditional lasagna. After all the noodles and potatoes are gone, we top it with the rest of our golden onions. Once this is baked, it's ready to cut into squares and enjoy. And yes, it tastes just like an old world pierogi, but is so much easier to make. I hope you'll go online to get the recipe for what we call pierogi lasagna. It's packed with all sorts of cheesy goodness. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a two-in-one way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
I have to try it first. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. And here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
Much calmer, much cooler this afternoon. Highs still looking to the lower to mid 50s. A little warmer tomorrow, better on Friday, warmer this weekend. Don't cancel your Easter plans. Just keep an eye out for a stray storm or two. And we continue to warm through the mid to even upper 70s as we head into next week. So much better over the next several days compared to what we saw this morning.
Yeah. We welcome that for sure.
A lot of residents are going to be spending a few days cleaning up for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, a new study shows meditation can help relieve migraines. In Health Watch, we're going to hear the story of one patient and how meditation changed his life. Plus, a look at the damage throughout southeast Kansas from those severe storms overnight. And the Carthage School Superintendent discusses the next step for the district after a school bond fails again. Hope you join us for those stories. A whole lot more, of course. It's all coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Dow. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at Noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.